Hello and welcome to Pasta Chat 7 with actual pasta. First of all, some of the Pasta Chat videos have not uploaded to my YouTube and thus have been lost forever. So the only place you can find them was on Instagram. It just didn't upload, and then I deleted the video off my phone. So unless I screen record the whole one on Instagram and upload it, which I'm absolutely not going to do, they're gone forever. But that's the way it is. So today's topic is about misconceptions of mental health issues, and just my unedited, unscripted, unplanned kind of thoughts on it. I did post a Q&A, and I got some really good answers. So thanks to everyone who answered. I got some really good ones. But we're talking about things. Oops. I say oops like I made that noise, but I did not. I wish I did. So for example, some of my experiences in the past, I've said something to someone like, oh yeah, I've actually been diagnosed with obsessive compulsive disorder. And someone will say something like, oh, oh yeah, I like washing my hands before handling food as well. And it's like, obviously that's not what it is. It's all-consuming. It's, debilitating in many ways. Or not currently, it's a bit more under control, but in a lot of ways, it is debilitating, and some people's lives are ruined by it. Now, the person who asked me to make this video has had similar experiences. I'm not going to say who it is, because it was a private conversation. But when I talked about it, when I put the Q&A up, got some really good examples from other people, because it's hard for me to think of other examples because the only examples I can think of are things like OCD and depression, things I've actually kind of been diagnosed with. But first of all, I'll go through some of what people said. An example that someone gave was thinking that anorexia, they said anorexia specifically, but it will obviously, this is kind of anything related to body image at all. People thinking that it's just in the mirror, as in it's just, they're minimizing it basically, essentially just minimizing it to the point of, oh, it's just in the mirror, basically forget about it. Obviously, we can think about that rationally and think that is ridiculous, and people who say that should not be able to say things like that. But this is why it's important you have to be able to trust who you're talking to, because when people say, oh, you need to talk about your feelings, I agree, but to the right people, because if it's not to the right people, they will make it worse. They will make it worse, and that's in their responsibility. So that's in their hands. If you're one of the people, and hopefully there's some people watching this who have been ignorant in the past and have acted this way, because then hopefully they will get better. I'm sure they won't, because people who don't watch this will be, people who watch this will be the people who are a bit more interested and a bit more with it, I guess, in terms of this specific subject. So they probably won't be, but I can be helpful. I can be hopeful that I'm trying to be helpful. But hopefully, if anyone is watching this who has in the past, everyone makes mistakes, that's fine. I'll try and give some ideas on how to maybe not do that. But to be honest, maybe I've done it in the past, I don't know. Definitely when if I did, it would have been when I was way younger. But yeah, people can make offhand comments, and that's another thing, is people can make offhand remarks and offhand comments that they're not really thinking about, and it does have a big influence. Another good example was depression, and people saying, oh, I get sad too, which is, everyone gets sad, obviously it's an emotion. Now when you look in the DSM, Diagnostic Statistical Manual of Mental Health Disorders, which is kind of like it's a diagnosis tool. For OCD specifically, it says obsessive and compulsions have to be debilitating, and not be attributed to anything else like drug use or other medications, for example. Trying to minimize it and make it seem like it's really relatable when it's obviously not, is an issue in itself, because it kind of minimises their experience. If you've genuinely been diagnosed with something, the same thing that the person's telling you, then by all means say you have. So when people talk to me about, oh, I've been diagnosed with OCD, I was like, oh, so have I. But I actually have. I've not self-diagnosed it. I don't just think I have it, which is the niche thing, and which is not the niche thing. It's the kind of hip thing at the moment. Thinking you've got something and trying to get that label. What are some of the other examples? One example that someone gave was thinking that all you have to do is take antidepressants, for example. We know that's not the case. They might help some people in some ways, but we know that cognitive therapy is more useful and more long term, more long lasting. Forgive me if I missed your example. I read them all and they were fantastic, but there was quite a few of them. And this is the time where I probably could have had a script and read them off. My memories and all that. Parents thinking, kind of telling your parents, them being like, oh, it's a genetic thing, we're really, really sorry, and trying to kind of make it about them. Anyone who tries to make you feel guilty after you've said you've trusted someone and you say you've what's the word? You brought it up with them, and they've tried to make you feel guilty for it. That's someone who's not a friend, and that's a selfish person. Probably a narcissist as well. But that's someone that obviously wants it to be about themselves, and can't handle the fact that someone else has something going on. The attention's kind of away from them. But so my advice would be, if someone comes to you genuinely and says, I really want to talk about something that's been happening, it might even not be like a diagnosable mental illness, it might just be feelings they've had. My advice would be, from the questions that I asked and the answers that I received, my advice would be, listen, don't try and minimise it, don't try to make it relatable to you if you've had no experience of it. It's like if someone said to me, oh, I'm really upset, my mum died. I don't have that experience because my mum is alive. I'm not going to say to them, oh, yeah, I know exactly how you feel because my mum... You can't, so why would you do this for mental health stuff? The answer is ignorance, which, again, ignorance is acceptable, but in this day and age, you can find out about things very easily by just using the internet. So if you are ignorant, accept that, and that's fine, and understand that. You can't know everything, but you can learn about it. So my advice would be, listen, don't make it about yourself, don't minimise their experience. Kind of ask if you can do anything, if they need any support or help, or because it might just be that they want someone to listen to and they don't want any support. So those are the kind of common misconceptions of mental illness. I'll give you some specific examples in relation to OCD. Obsessive compulsive disorder is someone has debilitating obsessional thoughts. Let's say, for example, my own experience, that thought obsession for me, and it's called an obsession because you can't really control it, it's constant, it's all consuming and you can't control it. For me it was thoughts of harming my mum. Now, I love my mum, I'm not going to harm her obviously, so that in itself, as a child anyway, especially as a child, was very distressing because I didn't really know what to do. I thought, oh damn, does that make me, a bad person? And as a result, the person who has those obsessions turns to their compulsive behaviours, turns to their compulsions, which for some people is like repetitive behaviours. It can be cognitive, doesn't have to be an actual behaviour, it can be a thought, it can be counting, can be hand washing or cleansing. Now, the issue that people have is, as it's portrayed in the media, people think that it's hand washing and repetitive behaviours only. So people will assume that if you've got OCD, you want to wash your hands all the time. Now, obviously, we know that's not the case. But again, it also is a bit of an insult to say that, oh, this thing that's literally ruining my life at the moment is just washing my hands. It's not that bad, kind of thing. The thing with people always forget about the obsessions, and they think, oh, you just want to wash your hands because it makes you feel good. Well, no, it makes me feel. It doesn't even make me feel good. It makes me not think about the obsessions for 1 second of the day, which is a tiny bit of respite in an otherwise very frantic and hectic and constant suffering, essentially. Now, currently, my obsessions are a little bit more under control. Just make this pasta not stick to the bottom of the pan. And the compulsions have kind of become a personality, in the sense that things like repetition, order, and a routine schedule, I need that to survive, essentially. But I've made it kind of part of my life anyway. Some of the common misconceptions with depression, for example, are that it's just you feel a bit sad and you can fix it by watching a Disney movie, having a bath, just smiling. Obviously, this is ridiculous. Many people take their own life who have depression. Many people take their own life. We're talking about a big killer, especially of men in the UK. I think it's one of the biggest killers of men in the UK. So to say, to minimise it to the point where you say something like, oh, go watch a Disney film, that's shocking, really. That's really, really shocking. So when someone opens up to you, treat it like kind of a big deal. Like, it is a big deal. You know, it's not in the sense of, don't make a huge fuss about it, but it is a big deal. It's important to them. Should be important to you as their friend or loved one. And if it's not, then you're not their friend or loved one. And you should probably tell them that, because you would be kind of leading them down a false sense of security. So that'd be my advice on misconceptions. If I was to say to someone, and another one, this is the final one, is using the terms like an adjective. So one of the worst things someone can say, and this is purely for OCD, because I can't tell you about any other ones really, is if someone said, oh, I'm a bit OCD too. Fuck that. It's not an adjective. We're not. You can't say I'm a bit obsessive compulsive disorder. That doesn't make sense. You can't. That's obviously, for one, bad English. Secondly, it's incorrect, and again, it kind of minimises it. But to say that it's just to say someone's lived experience doesn't mean that much. Essentially, you're not a bit OCD. You have a personality, and you have personality traits like every single person ever, and that's fine. Everyone's an individual. Everyone's got their own kind of quirks. But to say that because you like being clean and having a tidy house, which again, let's just remember, I would say 99% of people like that because it's just nice having a tidy house. That does not make you OCD, and that does not make you have it doesn't make you have obsessive compulsive disorder, but it also does not mean that you can relate, because the suffering that they go through is more than you could probably ever comprehend if you've not gone through something like that, or other mental health issues. So I think I'll leave it there. Pasta chat number 7. I'm about to drain the pasta. There you go. Have a wonderful day.